We've all felt nervous and unsure at some point, but when does the pressures of daily life induce anxiety? And when they do, it is paralyzing, and it takes some emotional management to deal with anxiety. So Dr. Matt Townsend has some solutions on that, and it seems like this is something more and more people deal with. So are really more people dealing with it, or do they just think they are?
We're probably identifying it more, and sometimes we may not be able to tell the difference between just pressure or stress or anxiety. So anxiety would be more like a diagnosis, a clinical diagnosis, but you also would have about 20% of the population with anxiety. And it's pretty normal, it's common. The problem is it can seriously impede progress. It can keep your kids from going to school. It could keep you from maybe reaching your potential or magnifying a lot of your skills and your gifts. So what I found is we just got to do something about it, and we can immediately go take some pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
And if you need to, that helps. And I see so many people that won't do that.
Right.
But if you need to go there, it will help, okay?
Well, and I think we need to identify, too, what's the difference between just having anxiety and when you have an anxiety attack?
So remember, all anxiety is your fight or flight part of your brain. It's autonomic, it just kicks in, and it's preparing you to not die, basically.
Oh, well, that's good.
And the problem with some people is that they don't necessarily notice, they kind of think every situation's potentially fatal, meaning their fight or flight kicks in even when they don't need to. Even when somebody just says they're going to come over and drop something off, that might make a little anxiety because, oh my gosh, so the fight or flight kicks in and they're trying to get the house ready. An attack would be when you have a really strong, aggressive fight or flight response in a moment that is almost paralyzing. It stops you from doing anything.
Yeah. Okay, so there are some
rare.
Things we can do, and you hear about celebrities having those.
All the time.
They go on stage and have one of those. Okay, so there are things we can do, you said, and you're going to map this out for us.
Basic stuff. First thing, and I didn't even put it on here because it's the one everyone talks about, is just go work out. Working out helps get a lot of this stuff out.
So physical
good
action.
Exercise. Okay. It creates the right chemistry, dopamine, serotonin. But there's other things we can do. For example, talk it out. Some people just need to be able to share what they're feeling. And one of the keys is start recognizing you're having anxiety. Tell your partner, maybe make a cue, babe, can I just talk to you for a minute? I need to talk something out.
Now,
I don't need
to
advice.
kind of coach, I was going to say, do you have to coach that person? I don't want you to solve my problem.
Yeah, you're not here to solve it. You're just here to help me kind of get it out there and bounce it off of you. And one of the best ways to do it is let me talk, and you just keep showing, okay, so it stresses you when so-and-so comes over without being announced. Tell me more about that. And just let them get the energy out. Sometimes all anxiety needs is to get the energy out of themselves.
Okay, so talking is definitely one way we can do it.
And it's an easier way, but make some rules beforehand so you don't always feel like we constantly have to talk.
And what if you're not married? You can reach out to others, I'm
You
guessing.
totally can, and write it out. One of my favorite tools is, you've got the energy inside of you, all this anxiety. We can write it out and just literally sit down and take what you're thinking, those thoughts that keep swirling, and just write it down. I am so tired of the kids not paying attention to me, and then so-and-so calls at the last minute. Now what I teach though is write one line and then write the next line right on top of the first line.
Okay.
So you now have written two lines on top of each other, one line on top of the first line, then write a third line right on top of the second line.
Why? What does that do?
What it does is it allows you to get your thoughts out and the energy out without it turning into something anyone can read.
That is the fear, because someone could find it.
Right. It takes no tangible form, no legible form.
When you're writing it so much,
and the energy's
helps.
out. And if you'll write till you're out of energy, you watch. You'll just feel peace.
Really?
So if you're in the middle of the night and you can't sleep because your mind's racing, get up, turn on some low light, and go do some writing. But don't just write in your journal, because now you've documented thoughts that are anxious, and when you go back and read your journal, you'll reset to anxiety.
Oh, that is such good advice.
Yeah,
okay, so and also sometimes it's in our head so much we can't get it out. Our thoughts play a huge role.
Thoughts create feelings. Now, some chemistry and anxiety issues, the feelings actually generate the thinking too, because you have too much chemistry going on. So if you can, one thing you might want to do is start noticing your thinking, especially the thinking that precedes anxiety. A lot of times in anxiety, you're trying to control stuff. You feel like you need to be a perfection. You need to be perfect. You feel like you got to get everything done. You feel like you're inadequate. So start to notice your thinking.
I've never felt any of those
but your
things.
friends. I've met them. So our thinking actually generates more and more anxiety. So just start making a list of stuff. Maybe try to find 3 things a day that actually are really positive. about that moment of anxiety. Think about the examples in your life every day where you're taking an anxious moment and turning it into something else. Just think of your blessings, think of the good stuff, and start noticing what are the thoughts that tend to trigger your anxiety, and then let's rewrite them into more positive thoughts.
I love that idea. Now, the next one, I have no idea what it means, but this is my favorite tip. Chunk it out.
Chunk it out!
What does that mean?
You chunk it out.
I get to eat a gallon of ice cream?
Think of this. If I told you that you have to throw a party for 50 people, does that induce any anxiety?
A little bit. I start writing a lot of lists.
So the anxiety starts to build. Now, the whole concept is, instead of tackling the entire party, just start making a list. So notice, you will go right to the list to manage your stress about it. You're chunking it down into, first I'll make a list, I'll break the list into pieces, chunks, and I'm just going to start handling one chunk at a time, and just start breaking the big issue down into smaller issues that we can eat, bite-sized pieces.
That's probably a little more effective than the gallon of ice cream. Maybe just a little.
That helps too. It's a different kind of chemistry. Yeah,
okay.
Don't do that.
And finally, sometimes when people have anxiety, they just withdraw. They don't. Now that goes against everything you've told us. Talk to someone. So, what is that about turning inside ourselves?
Anxiety is it creates this pressure, and then what we want to do is we kind of want to withdraw and get away from everybody. So what I suggest is, if you could turn that anxiety out of you instead of in on you. You keep turning it in on you with bad thoughts and I'm a loser and this is never going to work. Instead, let's turn it out. And one of the fastest ways is you need to act. Do what you're thinking that should be done. Do something. So whatever you can do.
Even if it scares you.
Even if it scares you. Or if you don't even want to go act on the thing that scares you, then just go make cookies for your neighbor.
Do something.
And the minute you go serve another person and turn this anxiety out into action, you're going to immediately start to allay some of that anxiety. But eventually you got to deal with the thoughts, and then this is where you can start putting them all together, but turn the emotion out instead of constantly turning it back in on yourself.
I love it. Now, coming up is the biggest date night of the year.
These are so fun.
I've heard personal testimonials about your date night for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, this is it's normally Valentine's Day, but because Sunday is Valentine's Day, February 13th, 7 o'clock, we'll have a ton of people, 2,000 people together in a room, celebrating marriage, having fun. We laugh a ton. We're going to show you how to reconnect, how to love each other at a deeper level, and we just make it way fun. And if you go to matttownsend.com, enter in Studio 5 as the code, we give you a discount.
Okay, how do we sell this to our husbands if they're not into the touchy-feely?
Well, honestly, I would just promise touchy-feely. That's what I would do, but I'm old-fashioned. But what I would probably do is just say, babe, let me take care of Valentine's night. Let me just take care of it. And it's a surprise. Then you don't have to worry about it. You just buy me flowers and a ring, or more jewelry, and I'm going to surprise you with something.
All right.
We'll laugh, I promise. It is the best, easiest night you'll ever have.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Matt Townsend. All right. Well.